Hello everyone, and welcome to Basic Design. Before I begin the story of King Pica, let me explain the terms pica, gutter, spread, and outer margins. A pica is a form of measurement. If you look at your rough draft page, you'll see that it's made up of tiny squares. Each of those squares is what we call a pica. The gutter is going to be the middle of your spread where you see two white lines next to one another. That means that that's where the book closes. A spread is two pages side by side. The outer margins on your page are going to be the white area that's outside of your gray columns. Now let's begin our story. How to be the ruler of yearbook land. Once upon a time, a long time ago, in a kingdom called Pica, there lived a cute king. He was a bit square, but then so was his kingdom. His hands and his feet were a bit strange, but he had a very big heart. He decided to build a new castle and called in the best architect in Pica land. He told the architect to build a castle with 8 wings. He had the architect number the wings 1 through 8. What I would like for you to do now is pause this video and number your columns 1 through 8 at the top of your rough draft sheet in pencil. You want to make sure that you realize where each column start and stop. Okay? When you're done with that, press play to continue on with the story. Then the king ordered the architect to build a horizontal hallway, but it was never to be exactly in the center of the castle. It would always have to be just a little above or just below halfway. For this castle, he told the architect to find the exact center and go down by 5 to 7 picas. So, the hallway is the eye line in yearbook design. So you're going to draw one line from side to side. What it does is it allows your eye to travel from one side of the page to the other. You're going to find the exact center of your page. It should be pica number 33. Now count down 5 to 7 picas. You can choose 5, 6, or 7 and draw a line from one side to the other. Once you've done that, drop down 1 pica and draw a second line. And then you're going to shade in between those 2 lines to have a full pica. This is your eye line. The king's first rule: everything in his kingdom must be 1 pica apart. Continuing on with the story. The hallway is 1 pica wide. He liked this horizontal hallway so well he decided to build a vertical hall between wings, aka columns, 5 and 6. Go ahead and shade in the white line between columns 5 and 6. When you're creating your own layout, remember, it can go anywhere between columns 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, or 6 and 7. The king's second rule. Everything must be built where the lines intersect. The king told the architect that everything must be built in one of the 4 areas of the intersection. He said he wanted his room to be the biggest. So which area on this spread is the biggest to put our king's bedroom in? That's right, this area. So we are going to build a bedroom, aka a photo box, in columns 3, 4, and 5, going from the top of our page, top of our column, to our eye line. Remember, it's going to go to the eye line, not over the eye line. Once you draw that box, put an X in it. That means that it is a photo box. This is the dominant photo on the spread. Every spread must have a dominant photo. The king lives very happily in his castle for several years, but he starts to get lonely. So he calls the architect and tells them to build a big library advertising all his good qualities, because he is going in search of a queen. The library is going to have 3 banners and 3 stacks of books. The king wants the library built next to his room. How far apart is everything in the kingdom? 1 pica. That's right. So the first banner is our headline, and it's going to be 5 picas tall, and it's going to cross columns 6, 7, and 8. Remember, when I come up with one of these things, you're recreating this spread. So pause the video as many times as you need to in order to get your drawing done properly. When you're ready to continue on, just hit the play button. So we're going to have 3 headlines, or a headline and 2 subheads. A headline is what's going to attract your attention to your story. A subhead is going to be like a summary sentence for your story. So we're going to have one headline that's 5 picas tall, going across columns 6, 7, and 8. And then we're going to have 2 subheads below that are 2 picas tall apiece, going across columns 6, 7, and 8. And remember, you see how there's a space in between? Everything has to be 1 pica apart. So make sure you drop down 1 pica and then draw your next box. After you finish with that, you're going to create 3 stacks or columns for your story. Make sure that you have 1 pica in between them and that they go from 1 pica below your final subhead to your eyeline. Continuing on with our story. King Pica sent all over his kingdom for a beautiful young lady to be his queen. The ladies all read the banners and information about King Pica. Finally, the king chose a beautiful young lady named P to be his queen. He told the architect to build the new queen a room almost as big as his. So where can her room be built? One of these 2 quadrants. They're still empty. The king decided that he wanted her room built right below his in wings 3, 4, and 5. So let's put a photo box right below the eyeline to our bottom margin and take up the space in 3, 4, and 5. Make sure you put an X in it. That's for our next photo for our queen. Remember, everything is 1 pica apart. With the king and queen living so close together, we can imagine what's going to happen. The king's rule. 3rd rule. All the children's rooms must be built off the hallway and close to the king or the queen. So where can the first child's room be built? Well, we have quadrant 4 here that has nothing in it yet, so let's start there. It can't be as big as the king or the queen's bedroom though, because they're the most important ones in this castle. So we want to make sure that the bedrooms are a little smaller than theirs. So the king called the architect and told him to build a room in columns 6 and 7 for the first child. So you're going to make a photo box that's 2 columns wide, going from your eyeline to your bottom margin. How far apart is everything in this family? 1 pica. So it isn't long before the queen comes in one morning and says, "Kingy baby, call the architect, we need another room." The king's 4th rule. There are no twins or triplets in this family. So, I already clicked it in, but we're going to put our next photo right next to the queen's bedroom down here. But see how it's not the same size as the first kid's bedroom. We want to come up from the bottom because we do need to leave space for our caption boxes. So caption boxes are 4 picas tall generally, so we need to be at least 5 picas in order to have 1 pica in between our caption box and our photo. So count up 5 before you start the bottom of your photo. So what do we want to see in the yearbook? Usually that would be pictures. We don't really have enough pictures yet. There's only 4. So let's put some more. How close is this family? They're very close. So here comes the queen again wanting another room. Where can that room be built? We have space right here in columns 1 and 2 and a space here in column 8. The king's room decides that he wants this child's room built right next to his in column 2. So go ahead and draw a photo box in column 2 about 2/3 of the way from the eye line up. How close is this family? 1 pica, so it's not long before the queen comes in one morning and says, "You need to call the architect." Where can this room be built? We have space here in column 1 or space here in column 8. We're going to put it in column 1. It's not going to be as tall as this photo here. It's going to be about half as tall or 2/3 as tall as this photo here. So go ahead and draw that in. The king's 5th rule: none of the children can be named until all the children are born. So what do you want to see in the yearbook? Pictures. So can we get one more on this spread? Yes, we still have a column that's empty. So let's go ahead. When the queen comes in and tells the king that another little pica is on the way, he says this has to stop. We're out of room. She explains that it's too late for this one and they have to have a room. So let's go ahead and put that on column 8. Remember to leave space below to write your captions. Now that the king has said this is the end, it's time to name all the kids, and he and the queen get started. The king's 6th rule: names must be right next to each child's room. What that means is that each caption box needs to be next to its photo. So let's put in our captions. You'll notice the arrows show you which photo they go to. Caption boxes are 1 column wide and generally 4 picas tall. If you don't have enough space to make yours 4 picas tall, just make them even. And remember, you have to have 1 pica in between all of your objects. So this needs to be a pica, that needs to be a pica, this needs to be a pica right here in between these two. Pica in between, pica in between, pica in between, pica in between, pica in between. You will get tired of hearing me say this, but it is the most common mistake when creating your own design, is students not putting a 1 and only 1 pica in between their objects on their spread. So go ahead and finish this up. You're going to bring it to class to get it checked, and then start on your own. They lived happily ever after. And that's the end of King Pica. Good luck, remember his rules, and you can always check your yearbook binder to remember them. And have fun. Let's make this yearbook great.